The premise of today's video is very straightforward. First of all, I'm going to make a drink that I've never tried before, which on paper sounds like it could be one of my favorite cocktails of all time. Based on these ingredients, it definitely has the potential to be. And as an added bonus, it also contains pineapple rum. So I think this is meant to be, because we just made this a few weeks ago. I'll link how to make it at the end. This on its own is delicious. These ingredients also get me quite excited. And then after that, I'm going to show you a drink called the Pirate Radio 3.0. 2.0 we don't talk about, that one wasn't as good, which is a riff on this drink, changing the ingredients slightly to make it into a coffee cocktail, and I think it might be one of the best drinks I've ever made. So first of all, we're going to taste the Pirate Radio. So a few weeks ago I showed you how to make this delicious pineapple rum, which is super easy to make, really delicious and really versatile. It goes in lots of different drinks. And the plan was to show you different ways you could use it. And then by complete chance, I stumbled across a drink called a Pirate Radio, which I saw on High Proof Preacher, Jordan's fantastic Instagram page, which I'll link in the description below. You should check it out. He makes some fantastic drinks, looks very aesthetic, and he highlighted this. And honestly, I'd never heard of it before. So the Pirate Radio was created by Jason Walsh in New York City. It's got a very interesting flavor profile. And I think at its heart, it's probably inspired by a white Negroni. So we've got a spirit, which usually would be gin, but in this case, we're going with pineapple rum. We've got a vermouth or an aromatized wine, which is going to be Cocky Americano. Historically, this would usually be Lillet because it's more of a French style, but Cocky Americano is delightful. Chartreuse is an interesting addition, which isn't in in any Negronis as a classic Negroni, but is a fantastic ingredient, albeit a little bit hard to get hold of. And then finally, we've got Sousa, which is a delicious gentian-based liqueur, bittersweet, another ingredient in a classic white Negroni. And if you've never made a white Negroni before, it's a fantastic drink. I'll link how to make it at the end from my free 50 video course. But we're gonna make a drink today, which I'm actually really pumped to try. So I've been intentionally holding off making this drink because I think, as I said before, it has potential to be unbelievable. And it's a really simple drink. It's gonna be a stirred drink, and we're gonna start with our pineapple rum. So any drink that contains pineapple rum is good with me. And this just brings really nice body, kind of natural sweetness, and that really delicious rum flavor. So strong start, got plenty of that going in there. So 45 mils of that. We're gonna go 30 mils of Cocky Americano, which is an aromatized wine, very complex, not too sweet. And I think this will just really complement the rum really nicely. I'm gonna go 15 mils of green chartreuse, which is a big flavor. And I'm kind of surprised this isn't yellow chartreuse, which I may well try it with in future if this is too kind of overpowering. And this is a really potent herbal liqueur, big flavors, loads of ingredients going in there. But with these other flavors going in, I think it could be quite a nice combination. So this is very intensely herbal. Obviously we've got some slightly more tropical flavors from the pineapple rum, and then 15 mils again of our Sousa. And this will bring pleasant bitterness along with a little bit of sweetness. Technically, we'll soon find out if that works. It's got a very interesting color. It's pretty yellow, just like any good white Negroni is yellow, which always kind of bugs me. And we're gonna stir this down with plenty of ice. We're gonna stir this down to chill, mix and dilute the drink. And I think you will need that dilution with chartreuse being such high ABV of 56%, 55% nearly. Then the pineapple rum, which will be almost 40. I think the pineapple will bring it down slightly. The Sousa and the Americano aren't going to be super high ABV, but I do think this drink wants to be really nice and cold. I'm not going to try it just yet. And then we're going to serve this into a frozen coupe glass. So Jordan expresses a big swathe of orange peel directly over the drink, which I think is a very good idea. Actually, I'm not even going to smell it. I'm just going to wait. So orange zest over the drink, around the rim of the glass. And he also does this stem of the glass, which is a nice touch. So your fingers kind of taste like or smell like orange. And then he does a beautiful semi-circle-ish garnish, which I'm going to slightly recreate. Going kind of around the edge of the orange to make this kind of somewhat boat-shaped garnish. A little nick in the middle. Sit that on the side of the glass. and I am pumped to try this drink called Pirate Radio. So, I've been holding off tasting this, but I can't hold off any longer. Pirate Radio by Jason Walsh via Jordan at Hyperproof Preacher. Cheers. Oh, that is such a good drink. Ooh. I'm gonna say it, that's better than a white Negroni, and I love a white Negroni. The chartreuse just brings extra sweetness, more complexity. And I think my issue with the white Negroni is it's not that integrated. I think you've got the kind of big Sousa, big, or not too big, Americano, cocky Americano. Gin is a big flavour, and I think they're just a little bit disparate, whereas this is extremely well integrated. I'm going to be drinking a lot of these, 100%. And if you try this, I think you'll be doing the same. So if you can get hold of green chartreuse, this list of ingredients is fantastic. This drink, that is so good. Too much chartreuse?
Too chartreusey for me.
So Sam's tried this and he finds it a little bit too chartreusey, which I think is a totally fair point. Actually, when I was writing down these specs on my whiteboard in front of me, I had to double check that this was green chartreuse, not yellow. So yellow chartreuse is a little bit milder, a little bit lower ABV, a little bit less intense and a little bit sweeter. I do think it'd make the drink too sweet if you had yellow in there, but maybe bringing down the amount of the chartreuse using yellow might be quite an interesting combination. I will 100% be trying that, but I'll also be drinking a lot of these. So what I've done is I've taken inspiration from this, created a coffee cocktail, which I'm pretty excited to share with you. Actually two. 2.0 wasn't as good. 3.0 I think is one of the best drinks I've ever made. Kind of echoes this, but brings something slightly new to the table. So let's make that now. So for Pirate Radio 3.0, I made a couple of changes and slightly twisted this into more of a very loose Negroni style drink, albeit pretty loose. So the first thing I did is sub out the cocky Americano and subbed in cocky Storico. Ignore all that mayonnaise. We left the green chartreuse in place, and then the Sousa I switched out for something slightly different, which is going to be Amaro Nannino. So Amaro Nannino is quite a delicate Amaro. It's not too bitter, and because we've got these kind of complex flavour notes, this actually worked perfectly. So I tasted the drink with a couple of different Amari, and Nannino was by far the best. It just had a really nice level of bitterness without being too much to overpower the drink. And then the two final ingredients, first of all, a much needed ingredient, which was citric and malic acid blend, which is a 6% acid. So 4 grams of citric acid, 2 grams of malic acid, topped up to 100 grams of boiling water, just mixed together. And I keep a pipette like this pretty much at all times on me, just to slightly take the edge off any sweetness, bring a little bit more acidity to a drink. And then the final ingredient, which to make it into a coffee cocktail, was coffee. So I'll grab the bag actually, because I think this is a really interesting coffee. Comes from Catalyst, based in London, who actually specialize in blending coffees together. So this is a Uganda and Ethiopian blend, washed and natural. So a really interesting kind of combination there. They say flavor notes of jackfruit, papaya, pineapple, and molasses, which I think with these flavors are gonna be very, very good. So we're gonna be stirring this drink again, serving it in a pretty similar visual style with a slightly different garnish, which I'll talk about in a second. And we're gonna start off keeping things fairly similar with 45 mils of our pineapple rum, echoing the flavor note of pineapple in the coffee. We're gonna go 30 mils of our cocky Storico, which is in place of cocky Americano in the original. So this is gonna be closer to a sweet vermouth in terms of flavor profile. So by using a sweet vermouth, we're gonna get those kind of deeper flavors, a little bit less refreshing, but that's kind of what I'm going for here. Gonna go 15 mils again of our green chartreuse for those really nice herbal notes. 15 mils of our Amaro Nannino in place of the Sousa. This is delicious on its own, delicious in this drink. And then, mixing it up away from the kind of classic template, we're gonna go 3 grams of much needed acid. So our citric and malic blend. This drink is not as good without this, trust me. It's really important that it's in there. You could do a little bit of lemon juice or a little bit of lime juice, but this just doesn't change the flavor of the drink, just brings the acidity, which I think is a really nice balancing tip. And then finally, 30 mils of our brewed filter coffee, the Catalyst blend. But anything with that really nice kind of tropical flavor profile to time with the pineapple rum should work beautifully in the drink. So once again, we're gonna stir this down, not quite as much as before because we've got the coffee in there, bringing a little bit of dilution. Gonna strain into our frozen coupe glass. And then this time, rather than using an orange, which would be fine, I'm gonna go with a big swathe of grapefruit because I really wanna lean into those kind of bittersweet citrus notes just to avoid this drink becoming too sweet, which we have to be very careful with. So once again, big swathe expressed over the drink. Gonna tidy up our swathe into a sort of trapezium, parallelogram. Just make a little nick in the middle. And then this time, we're gonna garnish with a little bit of flamed rosemary. So this is a really lovely garnish for anything kind of bittersweet, any Negroni style drinks. Just catch the edges of the rosemary, brings a really nice kind of smoked, charred rosemary aroma, which I love. Gonna poke that through our grapefruit piece onto the rim of the glass. And there we have Pirate Radio 3.0. So I have tried this one before, so I won't be surprised or shocked by it, but I'm really happy with it. It's really lovely. You've got the pineapple coming through really clearly, slightly different flavor profile in terms of the bitterness from the Nonino rather than the Sousa. You've got more depth and kind of berry-like sweetness from the Storico. It's a very, very tasty drink, a very different drink, but still maintaining the DNA of the original Pirate Radio. So I feel pretty lucky here. I've got pretty much a new favorite cocktail, at least for the moment, and a new favorite coffee cocktail, at least for the moment. They're similar but different, complex and delicious. Both great drinks. I really love both, and yeah, happy to share them with you. So if you want to see more hidden gem recipes of things I hadn't heard of before, I'll put a couple on screen here. Like, share, subscribe, all the good things. Click here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Enjoy Pirate Radio 1.0, 3.0, and that was rubbish. Cheers. Sounds terrible. Ting! Whoop!